Hi, I'm Tanner at Alliant Power. Today we're going to be taking you through a CAT 3406 injection pump rebuild and kind of the main things we look for when we get one of these in the shop. So first, after we get the pump all disassembled, we'll get everything cleaned up good. And the biggest kind of thing we look for first is the plungers and barrels. So that's what we have here. On the CATs, they kind of come apart as an assembly here with the spring. So you got your barrel here, and then your plunger comes out like so. So what we look for here, there's a helix inside the plunger, and this controls your fuel output with your rack travel. So what we look for here is any sort of scoring, and when you start having that happen, you can have basically blow-by, just like a piston in an engine. And if you get wear in here, fuel can leak past as this is going up and down, and they rotate as well inside here. So that'll lead to a lousy late injection event and poor performance. So that's kind of the main thing we look for in a plunger. Here I have an example of one that actually seized in the engine, or in the pump. This one here, you can see there's some very hard scoring marks. So this one actually got stuck and then stopped moving. So that one had to be pounded apart. That's usually due to poor fuel quality, not changing your fuel filters in a timely manner, stuff like that. So we'll go through and we'll look at a 3406 six-cylinder engine. So we'll go through and inspect all 6 of them like that. Here I have another example on a smaller Bosch version of an inline pump, an A pump. This is kind of the more typical wear that we see. You can see there's kind of this area here that you can see that's through the polished surface. And once that gets down towards the helix here, that gets to be pretty serious. That'll cause some performance issues with your engine. Next, we'll take a look at the cam. You can think of this just like a camshaft in an engine. It's exactly what it is. So this one here, the CATs are pretty big. This one here had a major failure on the engine. You can see here, the cam's all chewed up, pitted. It's worn a groove into the camshaft there. So this is usually due to poor oil quality, low oil pressure, stuff like that. So we'll go through and we'll inspect every lobe on these, make sure that they're all good. Here's an example of one that's not too bad here. A little bit of scoring on it, but that's not too bad. So we'll inspect the cam, and usually if you see issues on your camshaft, you're going to see issues with your rollers on your tappets. These are just, again, just like in an engine that has a roller tappet valve train system. You can see this cam lobe here is locked up. I can't even spin it, and it's all chewed up. So this definitely was a major failure on this pump. Those are kind of the meat and potatoes of what we're looking for in the pump section. All of those parts I just talked about go in this section. This is the main pump body of the pump here. All right, next we're going to move on to the governor. Some of the main stuff we look for in the governor section of the injection pump. So this is the weight carrier. This goes on the back of the camshaft back here and bolts on. And inside of here, these governor weights go. And they go in like so. And then a pin goes through to hold them in place. And these weights pivot on this pin as the RPM of the engine goes up and down. So basically these move like this as the RPM goes up and down in the engine. On these CATs, a lot of the older ones, they have a different style weight carrier that does not have these stops. So you can picture this thing, but without these stops on here. So what those do is they stop the weight from going out too far. Because if they do, they can get into the housing. So all of this assembly rides inside of here when it's all bolted onto the pump. So if these weights travel out too far, they can contact the housing and cause a bunch of damage. So DIPACO sells a kit that comes with a weight carrier. It comes with new weights that are also updated. They have a wider finger on them right here. The factory CAT ones are much narrower, so there's more pressure in one spot when these are operating, so this spreads the load out. So they sell an updated weight carrier, weights. The kit comes with new pins. And then what these weights push on is this thrust sleeve right here. So this is a bearing, and these weights push right here on this thrust sleeve. So with the combination of the wider footprint on here and also a wider, thicker washer here, it spreads the load out much better over all of this. So this is your governor action here. It kind of goes like so with RPM. And when you get one in that hasn't been apart in a long time, these fingers here will actually wear very far into these. And if that happens, there's a needle bearing behind here that will explode and, you know, cause a bunch of damage within your pump. So a nice update there. Another thing we look for that's super common in these cats, this is basically a tack drive. So where your tachometer and your truck would hook up to, it would hook up right here. So this guy here sticks right out of this seal that's in the back of the governor. And that seal, you'd be surprised at how much wear it can wear into the seal shaft. And once it wears far enough, that seal loses its tension on the shaft here, and it'll cause an oil leak. So that's another high wear item in the cats that we also replace. DIPACO sells one of those as well. Another big wear item is your throttle shaft. So your foot pedal that you got in the cab, that hooks right to here. So this is constantly moving with your throttle. And over time, that can wear. Again, there's a seal that's behind here to seal oil in. And there's two bushings, one here and here. And those can wear over time along with the shaft itself. And you can get a lot of slop in here. So we inspect that stuff. Replace as necessary. DIPACO also sells all the throttle shafts you could need for this type of governor on your cat pump. Next, we've got thrust bearings. These go on each end of the pump. So these go on the front side of your camshaft here. These do, and then these go on the back side, back behind your weight carrier that I was talking about earlier. So they go on the back of the cam like so, and sandwich in here. So you've got a race, two races, and then the bearing goes in between. So we always inspect those and replace as necessary. Next thing we look at is the transfer pump. So this is responsible for transferring the fuel from your fuel tank up into the injection pump. So kind of the main thing we look for here, this is the transfer pump piston. These can get a lot of scoring on them and not get as much pressure and vacuum out of it, so it won't pull the fuel from the tank as well. The check valves get replaced every time. There's, I believe, 3 check valves in a cat transfer pump that's this style. This piston here rides inside of this sleeve, so usually these get replaced as a pair. And again, same thing that we look for on the piston, we'll look for scoring and, you know, any sort of wear inside where the piston rides on here. And then we have a transfer pump tappet. This is driven off of the camshaft of the pump. There's a special lobe for it on here that drives this, so this is going back and forth like that. And same thing we look for, just like on this piston, any sort of scoring or anything. And replace that stuff as necessary. And those are the very common main things that we look for in a cat rebuild. Thanks for watching. If you guys are looking to tackle projects like this yourself, check out our YouTube channel. There's a link in the description below. If you guys are looking to get your injection pump rebuilt, give us a call. We have all kinds of different options that we do. We do Bosch, Cat, Denso, Delphi. We do them all here. We got locations all over the country that we do them in. So give us a call. Happy to help you.